Alrighty, it's 12 noon Eastern Standard Time, so we'll go ahead and get started. My name is Leisha Thompson. I am a certified leadership and personal growth coach guiding midlife professionals through reinvention to gain clarity, balance, and heart led passion. Today's topic, and I appreciate everyone who joins or watches this on the replay. Today's topic focuses on empty nesters and reinventing as a midlife empty nester who is at a place in life where it's time for you to take your opportunity and maximize it by focusing on who you are now that you've raised your children successfully. So I want to just say congratulations to all the empty nesters who watch this live now and participate with me or who catch it on the replay. But congratulations to each of you for being a phenomenal parent. And you have children now who are liberated because you've released them into the world, giving you opportunity and time to actually be excited about your accomplishments, but then also to begin focusing on you. And I know it's been a while since you've been able to do that, but that's what we're here to talk about today. So let's get right into the process of what it could look like for you should you choose to accept this as an opportunity today to begin the process of reinventing. So remember to maintain some excitement about this because there are all types of other emotions that could enter into this equation. But I want you to keep your focus on what can be, okay? And so rediscovering your purpose with clarity and balance is ideal, but let's add fueling it with heart-led passion, which you'll hear me talk about often because I know it to be true, and it can enhance any other strategies that you may be utilizing or thinking about. So again, let me just share a little bit about who I am and kind of my journey and why I do the type of work that I do so that you'll understand that I might know a little bit about what I'm talking about. So there was a time when I stood in your shoes as an empty nester of two high school daughters, approaching time when they would leave home and move into their dorms as freshmen on campus. And that's began when I actually began wondering what's next for me. You know, soon my house will be empty basically for the first time in so many years. I knew it would give me opportunity to think about who I am now because we change as we go through the years raising our children, learning a little bit more about parenting, but also about life and career and everything that comes with it in general. So my daughters are 2 years apart in age. And when my oldest one was a senior, beginning her senior year in high school, that's when reality started to click in for me. I knew I still had 2 years left before my youngest one would leave, but I wanted to begin planning so that I was actually ready to step forward as soon as my second one moved into her dorm. So that in my mind meant start thinking about my own future. I knew I wanted it to be vibrant, active, and productive. And also I wanted to reconnect with some friends that I hadn't been able to because I've been so focused on being everything and all the things for my children because that was my priority. It was a core value to be the best mom that I could. Since their births, I thought that way. And as a parent, you know how it looks and feels through the years. I become their chauffeur, their number one cheerleader, their confidant, their patcher upper of any internal or external scrapes or wounds, whether physical or emotional. I taught them about honoring their faith, keeping hope alive, and so much more, which I'm honored to have had the opportunity to do as I prepared them to enter the world as soon as they left home. It was important to me. And I was thankful and remain thankful to this day that God entrusted me with them. And you might feel similarly. Initially, I had no vision about what to change or what it would even feel like to become an empty nester. I had zero knowledge in that area. I slowly began to imagine, though, how I would want my life to look when that day came. I also thought about not just how it would look, but how it would feel also. So on the day that we'd move my oldest daughter into her dorm at Ohio State University, after I got home, realizing the house was a little more quiet, even though my other daughter was still there. She had a life of her own. She was very active, lots of friends, sports, music, all the things, academics. And so it was a shift just to begin to imagine or reimagine life on my own terms, focusing on me. And that's probably where you are at this time in your life as well. But I knew that I needed to honor my heart led values. I was blown away as the days began moving forward, as I began to re envision this phase of my life. And I eventually recognized that it offered unlimited, fresh opportunities to reinvent using lessons that I'd learned in my career, but then also in personal life and life as a mom of two. I knew what I didn't want, and that was to be sitting at home bored once both of them were gone. I'd always valued being productive and also being proactive. And so nothing should change for me in that respect. So it was time for me to begin reimagining my own future. And then I was blown away, if I'm honest, when I began to realize that this phase of life offered so much more than I initially even recognized. So I began jotting down some ideas and thoughts about things that I wanted to begin to explore. Some things that I used to do, places I used to go, people I used to be around more frequently. But because I had lack of time for myself, everything had kind of slowed down in my own personal world. But these opportunities are now becoming visible to me again as I reimagine how my future would look. So embracing empty nesting became the foundational formula that I eventually turned into and named RISE, an acronym for Renew, Ignite, and Soar with Excellence. Now, as I made notes about the steps that I wanted to take, later, once I got on the other side of my own personal reinvention and career advancement was also a part of that. I continued to advance my career, but I wanted to also focus on personal reinvention and leadership from that aspect. So as I made notes, I kept kind of a journal going forward as I thought about things that I wanted to look into as I began planning my future. And so as time moved forward, and as I stated, when I got on the other side and I was actually in the thick of my own reinvention, living life differently, I felt so liberated and excited, and I didn't want that to end. So I consistently noted my feelings as I moved forward, not just my thoughts, but also how my actions made me feel, and then how to create new thoughts around how I wanted to feel in my new world, in my new headspace, in my new life that I was creating. Not because the past had been bad or something I regretted, because I had zero regrets. I mentioned previously I was very thankful, and you probably are too, but there's always more. And so as I notated the steps that I began to take, I realized that this was something that others might benefit from as a template. And so Not to say do what I did, because you have your own style, you have your own thoughts. And so this is just a framework that you might consider that we'll talk about as we go forward today. We all have a tendency sometimes to get stuck, feeling like when our children leave, the best years of already are behind us. But I want to ask you a question. Have you ever had a time when you felt like you wanted more out of your life, but you just didn't know what? You didn't know where or how to even begin the process to make your thoughts become your reality? And if you've had thoughts such as that, then I invite you to engage with me today in the comments during this event. Share your experiences, share your thoughts and your questions, and we'll do a Q&A at the end. So here's what you and I will talk about today: renewing and aligning your core values with revitalized goals, and then gaining a renewed sense of clarity to discover your purpose and long lost present or past passions. And then we'll get into overcoming self-doubt and indecisiveness so that you can actually take some actionable steps to move forward. Never forget, this is your time. And now that you're not in parent mode 24/7, you get to be intentional. You get to create your path forward so that you can discover your newfound purpose, joy, and excitement. So before diving headfirst into life as an empty nester, I'm also inviting you right now to take just a few moments to acknowledge all that you've done just to get to this time in your life. Just think about what is thus far. I want you to settle yourself, because you may be logging in from work or in your car as you're commuting, or wherever it is, but take a moment just to settle yourself. So why don't you go ahead and take a deep inhale and then exhale slowly. Just take a moment. Now begin to focus on appreciating the journey you've had up to this point in your life. Are you satisfied? And if not, begin to focus on what you can do to enhance your well-being from today, from this moment forward. Identify anything that may be holding you back from freeing yourself to create new opportunities, to redesign your future. Is it fear? Do you feel a little uncertain? Do you have negative self-talk going on in your thoughts where you want to make changes, but you talk yourself right out of them before even beginning? Any uncertainties, any doubt? Now, when you're ready, I will encourage you and actually invite you even to choose to design your fresh start by working on your inner renewal, which leads to long-term transformation. Hebrews 11:1 tells us that faith is the substance of things hoped for and the evidence of things not yet seen. Now, here's how you can begin: with a mindset check. In general, what do your daily thoughts consist of? Do you think about what once was, or do you think about what could be? Do you worry about how hard you think it'll be to reinvent, or do you choose to focus on what can be when you actually begin creating a new beginning for yourself, honoring what's meaningful for you now at this time in your life? Shifting your mindset helps temporarily, but heart-led inner alignment anchors you to your actual purpose. Why? Because it comes from your soul. It's where your truth resides. It's deeply within you. And This is an area that people don't often talk about, which is why I want to talk about it. And you'll hear me mention heart-led passion and soul thought processes, feelings, touch, being in touch with your actual emotions and combining that with your thoughts is a winning combo. And don't let anyone tell you otherwise. So, keeping that in mind, I want you to also consider a technique called passion mapping. And it's actually a fun and maybe somewhat easy way for you to rediscover your deepest passions, but by creating a visual map of everything that lights you up. So, what's important? What hypes you up? What brings joy and excitement to you in your life? For some, it's travel, whether national or international. For some, it's going to sports activities or actually participating in sports. For others, it's community service. Some read and like to participate with book clubs. Some it's art. Some of you are writers. Maybe you like music. Maybe you go to concerts. Maybe you like being outdoors and you hike. Maybe you like socializing, meeting new people. Whatever it is that hypes you up, that could be your passion. So you want to make a notation of that. Some of you are visual learners like me. So it's important for you not to just think about what you're passionate about, but to actually write it down somewhere. So in one column, write down what your passions are. The next column, write what type of emotion participating in these passions brings up for you. So for example, I'm a runner and I like to do HIIT training. And so those are values for me, things that I started doing many years ago that I vowed never to stop participating in because it helps to clear my head. When I work out, I get clarity, but it also boosts my confidence because I know I'm getting stronger. I'm learning how to control my breathing. My mindset becomes focused on what I'm doing in the moment. All of that physical activity transfers over into reshaping how you operate, how you move through life mentally as well. So, what is it that hypes you up? That's what you can utilize and call it passion mapping. So, as you begin down this road of passion mapping, you'll be seeing various patterns in your life as well. And that is what you want to do because it helps to point you toward what's most important to you and what you might want to focus on as you reimagine your future as an empty nester. So you want to block time out each day for this. And if you can't do it daily, at least do it weekly so that you don't lose sight of working toward your goal of redesigning your future. So right now, I'm going to invite you to go ahead and just place in the comments one of your passions. If you have more, then go ahead and add that as well. But if you're ready and willing, I'm inviting you to go ahead and share in the comments because I'd love to see some of your passions. So please feel free to share. Now, your takeaways from today should be what we've covered already. Here's what we've talked about. We've talked about the importance for you to try some new strategies to begin to gain initial clarity about what's important to you at this pivotal time in your life by doing heart-led mapping. To add to that, you want to renew your heart-led core values by doing a check. Take a look at what your core values have been and then what they are now. I guarantee they've changed. You could not have gone through decades as a successful parent without your heart-led core values changing. So it's a good time as an empty nester to think about and identify what they are. What are your core values? What are your heart-led core values now at this time in your life? That's a way of doing a heart-led renewal check. Now, you've already done, when we talked about a mindset check top at the beginning of this presentation. So adding your passion mapping, which us to renewing your heart-led core values, is a winning trifecta for you. It helps to evaluate of your thoughts, make any corrections or edits along the field are appropriate to begin focusing on what can be rather than what may have kept you stuck or confused. Practicing these strategies, again, will allow you to begin to see patterns and to gain clarity. It should also boost your level of confidence as you really dig into who you are now and what's important to you as you create your future on your own terms, because you are liberated and you are free. You have a little more time to focus on yourself. And again, I congratulate you for getting to this place in your life. So remember that your soul, your core, this is where your truth resides. So you want to tap into this so that you can enhance your thoughts and your actions. If there are any questions, I invite you to type them in the comments so that we can talk about that. And if you're uncomfortable adding them to the comments, you're more than welcome.